Hi and welcome to another video. So let's continue with our little series, Success Leaves Clues. This is the second post, which I wrote a few days later than the first one that we covered in the last video. This was on my birthday, my 10-year trading anniversary. What has a decade in the markets taught me? So I wrote this, and you'll notice this is the same image that I used in the video, the recent video that I did. And this is the one that triggered me to go back on a little journey over this digital trail that I left behind so that I can find my way back to my own personal holy grail of trading, which in effect essentially is just in my head how I conduct myself rather than the method. So I wrote, today marks 10 years to the day that I set off on my journey into trading the markets by attending day one of a 3-day seminar. And here, as I hover over this link, you will see that the seminar is indeed wininvesting.com, www.wininvesting.com, which is the seminar that I referenced in my trading journey video. It's also my birthday. I don't remember whether or not I had intentionally chosen that date to attend the course, but it's a cool bit of trivia that my trading anniversary coincides with my birthday. The course I attended introduced me to the basics for a hefty price, but didn't, and touched on the psychological aspects of trading. The real learning, however, began years later when I found myself with a 50K account, $50,000 account of money I had borrowed from the bank, which you'll be familiar with if you've listened to my video documenting my journey, whilst trying to regain my composure after my first 8-trade losing streak. So what has a decade in the markets taught me? I've found the Holy Grail. There is no technical Holy Grail. Every system, approach, and method will draw down, oftentimes more than you'd expect. If ever there was a Holy Grail, it'd be the ability to weather the storm until the method eventually picks up again, even after a 17-trade losing streak, which I did have on my way to passing the combine. 17 straight losers in a row. Embrace losers. Let's pretend walking represented a positive trading edge. If the left leg were losers and the right one were the winners, how far would you expect to get trying to walk just on the one winning right leg? This is where being truthful with yourself comes in. The goal is to execute a process with its inherent losers, not reach for a certain positive outcome or run away from a negative outcome. And this is very important. If any of you have, I'm sure you've heard of Anthony Robbins, the motivational speaker. He's probably, or definitely, a multi-millionaire. Does all his seminars around the US and has loads of books such as Awaken the Giant Within and Personal Power or something like that. But Awaken the Giant Within is the one I have. And he talks about our need, our inherent desire and need to move towards things that bring pleasure and move away from things which bring that we perceive to bring pain, not that actually cause pain, because pain and pleasure are just two sides of the same coin. Essentially, it's the same chemical reaction in the brain, but we just interpret it in different ways according to what we are taught in society. So it goes without saying that we're going to move towards situations which we think will bring us pleasure and move away from those which we think will cause us pain. Losing causes pain, winning causes pleasure. And this is where we go wrong. We're supposed to look for the truth in the charts rather than reach for the winners and get away from the losers. A good exercise for checking your resistance towards following a process rather than seeking an outcome is to take note of the thoughts running through your mind when you review some of your trades. If you start blaming yourself for the inevitable times where you are stopped to the tick, or you start looking for a way where you could have circumnavigated that or exited sooner to avoid giving back a 2-hour paper profit, even though the method said that's what you should do, there is still some mental progress to be made. So if you find yourself trying to rationalize how you could have got away with not being stopped to the tick, or how you could have booked a gain rather than had it and lost it according to the rules, then you've got some letting go to do, and that moves on. That's a good segue into the next point: let go of control.
We control nothing but our thoughts and our actions. You can't control the actions of others or the market. I've lost count of the number of times I've sat watching a trade, sometimes for hours, as if watching it made the difference. The illusion of control is one of the more costly cognitive biases, as it saps our energy completely in vain. Whether you go downstairs to get a Coke or a drink or whatever you do, a cup of tea, when you come back and you say, oh damn, I've been stopped to the tick, or great, I won. You walking away didn't cause the win, obviously, and you walking away didn't, the market didn't go, okay, I'm going to stab him in the back because he walked away and he didn't put in his time. If you go to the park and play with your kids and you had a 2-hour stop profit target and a 1-hour stop, whatever happened when you were at the park would have happened even if you sat there watching the trade. And then finally, I have mind the gap, which is a little term I coined several years ago. I've written about it several times on the blog, and essentially, if we are able to take action at any moment during a trade, then we have no live edge, because every living thing system relies on gaps to exist. And so this means we have to let go of control and have faith and trust in our plan over the long term, almost ignoring what happens in the short term. The human body, or the whole entire universe, is like 99 point something percent space. There's very little matter in our bodies and in the things around us. It's just electrons and ions and whatever, protons and electrons, um, and the nucleus. I can't remember now. We're going back 20 years ago to go back to school, but essentially, even an atom or even a proton or a neutron, they're mostly just space. Things navigating, moving around in space. So the planets that circumnavigate the sun, they do so in a bunch of space. The actual planets themselves make up very little mass out of the whole of the solar system. Same with our bodies, and it's just like a Matryoshka effect. You know, the Russian dolls where you open one little woman and there's another little woman inside, and you open her and there's another little doll inside. And sometimes that they have 7 of them, and it's like dropping down in time frame. The pattern repeats itself. So if you have, if everything is a microcosm of another thing, then space is, and bear with me, I know this is seems to be getting a little off topic, but it's relevant to the discussion. Space, by its own definition, is made up of space, and it has very little matter in a lot of space. As I said, 99% plus. And if everything's a smaller version of the bigger time frame, the bigger thing, then it makes sense that even systems are made up of space. There are, in the kitchen, as you know, as a professional chef, there are points of control. There are critical control points, they used to call them, CCPs. And that means before then and after then, you don't do anything. The only thing you check and interfere with is that particular point, and then you let the system run until you get to the next point. So it's like cars move around on the street and they only stop at traffic lights. They don't just stop randomly in between traffic lights. So all of this to explain that we have to allow things to travel through space and only move stops and take profits and do whatever we have to do at specific points in a plan. And we need to have the ability to leave things alone between those points. So that's a long-winded explanation of the mind the gap theory. And this is big. If anything helped me to get anywhere close to being consistently profitable, it's this idea here of mind the gap. Easier said than done, though, when your emotions get in control or take over. So that's it. So I'm just reading this, throwing it out there for those who might get some use of out of this. Again, this is the title, so you can pause the video and put this in the search box if you want to have a read yourself and click the links, such as the psychological aspects and so on and so forth, cognitive biases and all that stuff I've linked to. And in a nutshell, I said I've learned that we have to be comfortably uncomfortable.
So that's why things such as cold showers, if you've heard of the Wim Hof method, and not just Wim, but many people, other people have spoken about the benefits of cold therapy, pushing through the pain barrier, running, all those things help you to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think this is one of the main factors. We're just too comfy. We sit in our little um, temperature, climate controlled homes, and we're afraid of the cold. We're afraid of feeling bad short term to get long term gain. So that's my little bit for today. Like this video if you got any use out of it. I'm going to continue to do this if for nothing else, just for myself, to capture the journey that I took and recreate the mood so that I can get back on the horse and get back in funded. So that's it for now, and I'll catch you all soon in the next video. Bye for now.